Hello and welcome to Vikings Territory Breakdown podcast. I'm your grizzly host, Joe Oberle, senior writer at VikingsTerritory.com and PurplePTSC.com, and that's Mark Craig. He's the NFL Insider Vikings writer, Hall of Fame voter from the Star Tribune and StarTribune.com. And all right, folks, welcome back to Vikings Territory Breakdown. I pondered shaving during the break, but I decided not to, so here we go again. Mark, the Vikings, as we'd said last segment, are one of the older teams in the league, and they got some players, and they got to extend. They got a lot of free agents they got to look at, and there are some interesting cases out there. The first one, and I saw this right before it came on the air, and I didn't have a chance to verify all of it, but there's a lot of steam now that the Vikings may use their tag on Byron Murphy, cornerback. And to me, just from 300-foot view, that makes sense because this guy's going to be expensive. They need him. They've got, Mekhi Blackman is coming back from injury. Have Stephon Gilmore, who's pretty old and had a pretty decent year, but he's not going in the other direction where he's getting younger. And they need to shut down corner out there. And like you had pointed out to me, and he's still young. And so what do you think about Byron Murphy? And you think that's if that's a worthwhile doing? I think that the cap would come in around $20 million for him.
Well, I think it would cost like $17 to $20 million a year for a top corner. He's going to get that money somewhere else. The reason I said he was the priority is because you're trying to build, a young base of core players, and I would put him in that. I voted for him first team All-Pro. I think he was an ascending player. He's still 26, I think. He's a complete player. He's a good tackler, good ball skills, knows the defense. I don't know that. It's hard to say, but he strikes me as a guy that wants to be here, and obviously he's going to, get some offers if he's put out onto the market. I don't know that you need to tag him because I think he'd want to be here. I think that they could do a deal where it's better financially for them, especially for this year's cap number, if they do it along. I don't see the fear or the downside of doing a long-term contract with him because I don't think that. I don't think it's going to be money that you're going to go, oh, we shouldn't have done that because he's young enough. He's got a great, way about him, I think, as far as I don't feel he'd be a selfish guy or that money would affect him. That's just my interpretation of what I think he's like. And those guys you can trust the money with. Just like Justin Jefferson. There was never any fear of Justin Jefferson changing whenever they gave him all that money, and he was certainly young enough, and his Hall of Fame career was like here, getting ready to go who knows where. So that was like as much money as he got, highest paid player other than a quarterback in the history of the NFL, and that was a no-brainer, no-risk contract. So it all depends on who the player is. A jerk, it's you'd be like, well, I don't know, he might change, he might not want to do it as much.
This is not Murphy's second contract, the contract following his rookie contract, right?
He got his second. He got a contract to come here. He had some injuries and that back injury, and
he's been here 2 years. That's right.
In Arizona, he came here, and then they tried to extend him before last year. And to his, the Kirk Cousins did him, gambled on himself, and the Vikings tried to get him, last year, wrapped up a little because they probably thought, hey, this guy's going to cost a lot in 2025. And he said, no, he would want to, he'd want to go into, just, I guess.
What does that tell you?
Well, that maybe that does tell him that I'm saying that there's two players right now that I would franchise. One, for different reasons. One would be Sam Darnold, just because I would have a hard time that much value walking out the door and going, oh, we could have got, who knows what's going to happen with McCarthy, with what you could get for him. It's such a commodity that's just walking out the door. And you're like, man, they literally built this guy into this valuable commodity, and he's just going to walk away. But and on the flip side, a different way with Murphy, it's hey, I franchise him because I want him in the building so we can do a long-term deal with him.
Mark, let me ask you this: what is the mentality and the reasoning behind tagging somebody? I mean, you're just grabbing them for 1 year, keeping them in house, not letting them get out there and outprice you like Kirk did. But what is the mentality of what is the team trying to do? And on the other side of the coin, if you do that, do you risk ticking off your player? That you franchise him and limited his ability to really explore the market. I mean, Kirk Cousins famously got tagged twice before he got here, and when he came here, boy, he exploited that and got all the money he could find.
Well, I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to go down in history as a okay quarterback, kind of a 500 guy, but where he's going to lead everyone, I think, is the business side of what, having some good health through that up until, 2023. But, when they tagged him, he just took the approach, hey, I've been doing this since high school. I'm going to play it out. I'm not going to, he didn't pout. He didn't bitch. He didn't say trade me. He went through it. He went through it again. And whenever they couldn't do it a third time, he goes to Minnesota. He gets here and he just keeps plugging along. And he was always better than what they could somehow piece together. And so, if I'm Sam Darnold, especially when I've only had one good year, I would take the Kirk Cousins approach. Hey, that's great. $40 million. What helps, soothe some of the
yes, it does.
Is the fact that it's not like $7 million.
I'm thinking more in terms of Murphy, though. What's the mentality? What are they trying to do if they tag him?
Well, whenever they put free agency into place, you were like, I mean, at the very beginning of free agency, you had you just exposed like 15 guys. They called it Plan B free agency, and it was the guys at the bottom of your roster that everyone else could pick through, and then it became, obviously it became a bigger deal. And it got to where everybody was available. Well, they at least they let you the ability to hold back like one great player from not, from losing him. And typically, I guess it would be the quarterback, but it could be anybody. It could be, I think Chad Greenway was franchise tagged at one time. It's just that you keep control of a player that you do not want to lose. And in this case, there's only so many core players that you have. Josh Metellus is a core player. Grenard, Van Ginkel, Harrison Phillips, I would still say is a core player. Obviously,
Christian Darrisaw.
All the offensive guys are, but you want more of those guys. You don't have to piece. And with losing, Gilmore's not coming back.
Right.
Whether he retires or they just say, hey, we're going to try and find someone younger. My guess is that he would not come back. Shaq Griffin. Who knows? Maybe he comes back, but man, it changes that whole dynamic at corner. If you lose, if you have to replace Murphy in addition to those other two guys,
right.
And we saw how different when Flores had to work with in 2023 with those young corners with Cam Dantzler and all these guys that they were just trying to get by with it.
Right.
They just didn't have the ability. Well, he got the ability last year, but with that ability came a lot of age. And you can't just, even if those guys, want to come back, you're like, we got to project another, year on these guys. Belichick used to, get rid of them a year early rather than a year late.
Yeah. Well, your impression of Murphy, you think that would tick him off if they tagged him?
No, I would say no, it wouldn't.
Okay.
But I mean, he probably has expectations of, and I think the team would have expectations of whatever that say it's $20 million. I'm not sure what.
Yeah.
I just know that, as Ben wrote when he took a kind of look at the guys that are available, 17 to 20 million it may cost to get him a year. Well, giving him $20 million for 1 year, I would want to take the next step and have Rob Brzezinski work his magic, and where you get that number down low and you kick it out a bunch of years. Mm-hmm. With him, it's kick it out some years. With Sam, it'd be like, nah, I don't. Whenever JJ McCarthy gets up and running, I don't want to be paying for Sam Darnold in 3 or 4 years from now.